All living creatures are virtually the same, meaning they're living. And if you kill a mouse, you're a killer. If you kill a bug, you're a killer. If you've ever killed any creature on this planet, you're a killer. If you eat meat, if you go to McDonald's and eat a cheeseburger, you're a killer. You did not, hey, I eat meat. I'm a killer. I hunt. But if you eat meat, you're a killer. Any type of meat, any type of fish, anything like that that was alive, just because you didn't do the killing doesn't mean that you aren't directly involved with its killing. You're just paying someone else to do the killing. That's it. And it's strange that human beings, we put this emphasis on how intelligent the creature is, meaning the more intelligent creature has, supposedly it appears that the more intelligent creatures have more, there's more of a reason to let them live. But human beings, we just kill. That's how it is. We are carnivorous. We eat meat, and that's, we have the teeth of an omnivorous animal. So we eat meat, and we also eat other stuff too. But this notion that the intelligent animal deserves more than the stupid animal is sort of weird. Like a fish virtually has no rights. They don't have any rights other than ones that the Fish and Game Department give them, in other words, fishing seasons. Your domestic animal has less rights than a wild animal. Wild animals you can't shoot or kill unless you're doing it in that season. Domestic animals you can kill whenever you want. If you go down to a pet store and buy a spider, and you kill it, and you videotape that, and put it on YouTube, nobody's coming after you. It's a fucking spider. It's the truth. That's the way that it's looked at. Like the insect, it doesn't matter. Just kill it. There is no difference between that spider that you bought and the spider that's on your wall that you smash with your shoe. They're both spiders, and they both are living creatures. It's strange. Our pets have like no rights. There are some states that are trying to give pets rights, but it's all superficial. I think California has given some domestic, like our pets, some rights, but there really aren't any. That's how it is. If somebody moved here from some small town in China where they were eating dog, okay? And then they moved here and they bought some dogs and they were living in Texas and they were breeding dogs for their own consumption. And they were eating the dogs, and the dogs were humanely taken care of and humanely put down. There's not a court, there isn't a, even if they press charges on these people for eating dog, they were consuming it themselves. They weren't selling it. If they were selling it, they'd have them. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can't sell dog meat in this country. But if they were, there isn't a lawyer that the worst lawyer could get them off. Nothing is going to happen to these people. Your dogs have no rights. Your cats have no rights. Your domestic animals have zero rights. If your horse broke its leg and was laying out in a field and you went out there with a gun and put the horse down yourself, you aren't doing anything illegal. You're saving the animal from suffering. If you wanted to eat horse and you were breeding horses and you were breeding them and eating them and you were putting them down yourself, you aren't doing anything illegal. We don't eat horse in this country, and I don't know if you can sell horse meat in this country. I suspect you probably can, and I remember a case where somebody was trying to do that, and people were up in arms. That's what the problem is. So the hypothetical Chinese people that move here and that are breeding dogs. That would be the only problem, is if anybody caught wind that they were breeding dogs for consumption, you know, it would be the authorities saying, hey, look, listen, you could go buy pork in the store. You don't have to be eating dog, or you know, don't do that because you want to fit in. But it's a cultural thing. But still, your domestic pets have zero rights. Zero rights. Very, very few rights. They're only protected from animal cruelty and abuse. So, in other words, as long as the animal was put down humanely, you're not doing anything wrong. You, as an owner, can administer medications to your pet. You can go in and get antibiotics, all kinds of things. Like you can go and Tractor Supply and buy all kinds of medications, and you can administer it to your pet. You are not acting as a veterinarian. You're not doing this to somebody else's pets. You're not saying, oh, I can help my neighbor with it. No, you're doing it to your own pet. That's totally legal. I do a lot of the veterinary stuff on my own dogs. I won't do, you know, minor stuff. Do you understand? Like I might do stuff that most people won't do because I've been a vet tech before. So, but there's some stuff I won't do. But I'm not doing anything illegal. If I want to buy antibiotics from a feed store, I do. Your pets have no rights. They have zero rights. You understand this? If your pet is on an airplane, and this is very rare, and cabin pressure is lost, and you lost your pet, even if it's sitting next to you, the cabin pressure loses, you know, the cabin pressure's lost. There's no mask that's going to fit over your dog. You can only get monies that it cost to replace that pet. I don't even think that you might be able to sue them. It would be difficult if it was a service pet and it was not in the cargo hold but sitting next to you. You might be able to sue the plane, the airline, for the training costs. You might be able to. Might be able to. But in most cases, you're not going to be able to get anything except what the pet cost you. So if you adopted the pet and it was a $25 adoption fee, that's what the airline's going to give you. This is just how it is. I'm just putting it out there. Your pets have no rights in this country. And it's just strange. You know, human beings, we have this notion that, you know, we're so great and everything on this planet. And, you know, we sort of are. We have the opposable thumbs and we have this giant brain. All animals on this planet are very unusual. But we're all bonded together by like this common ancestry. So we're all related. But we're the most intelligent creature. There's nothing even close to us. There's nothing that has the size of our brain. There isn't. And don't say whales, because whales have these huge bodies. Yes, they have giant brains, but it's in relationship to body mass. So, you understand what I'm saying? But everybody puts this emphasis on how intelligent the creature is. Oh, they're smart. Pigs are smart. We shouldn't eat them. You know, that's what it's about with humans. It's about how smart is the animal. As a dog trainer, I like a stupid dog. I do. I don't want a problem solver. I want stupid and nice and willing to hang out. You know, that's what I like. I don't need some problem solving dog. That's not necessary. You know, I'll figure the things out for the dog. I'm the human. So you don't really need a smart dog. What you need is a trained dog. And a stupid dog can be trained as good as a smart dog. And the spectrum of intelligence, as far as a canine goes, it's like this, and all dogs fall in between here. So you're not talking about a real, you know, they're all basically the same. They are. They're all basically the same. There's not a huge leap. The dog that can learn the names of 1,000 different objects is not much different than the dog that can only learn the names of 300 objects. It isn't. There's not much difference. Neither dog is going to be able to drive a car. Neither dog has any language skills at all. They have no language. They just hear tone. It's just strange how we treat these animals that are on our planet living with us. The ones that are living with us have like less rights than the wild animals. The wild animals, you can't shoot them at certain times. Some wild animals you can't shoot at all. You can't capture most of these wild animals. You know, you can't take the wild animal and bring it into your house and have it as a pet. Certainly you can have a wild animal from another area of the world. That, like, Sam is from zoo stock, meaning ravens were in zoos. That his breeder ran a zoo down south, and that's originally how he got eggs. And, you know, because so many eggs are made and the zoo can't handle them, so he has ended up just being a breeder of ravens, crows, and I believe scavenging birds like you know, vultures. But Sam's not indigenous to this country, so it's legal to breed them and have them, but you can't go out in the wild in the United States, find a baby raven and keep it, or a crow, or a blue jay, or a robin, or a deer. Any of that fucking, you know, bullshit that you see on the internet, like the person feeding the baby deer, it's very wrong. It's very wrong. And all those deers that are fed by hand, if the federal authorities find out, they're going to put that deer down. And they should, because the deer is just going to get hit by a car, or it's going to walk up to a cat or a dog. It has lost these instincts that it should have to be afraid of people. It'll walk right up to the hunter and get shot, it'll walk across the road and get hit. And also, you don't want to set this precedence like, okay, you fed the baby deer, now let's just release it and wish it luck because other people do it. So the federal authorities come in and they put these animals down. So you people that, let me talk about this real quick. When you see a baby deer in the woods, it wasn't abandoned, you idiots. The mother goes off and feeds for like 10, 11 hours. She's around. She is around, and she's definitely not going to come around while you all are standing around looking at the baby deer going, oh, isn't it cute? Its mother abandoned it. Do you see the mother? The mother's not coming around. The mother can smell you from miles away. Get the fuck out of there and leave that baby deer alone. Don't touch it. Don't touch it, you fucking assholes. Human beings have this need to, like, save the orphaned animal that isn't even orphaned. It's built into us, this, like, you know, I'm going to take care of it thing. And that's actually, you know, how we, as human beings, started, like, getting pets as animals. It's always the hunting societies go out, you're in the woods, you see the, like, well, like Amazon Indians, they'll see baby parrots, you know, they'll take them home and they'll raise them. Same thing with monkeys. That's how it's always happened, and I'm sure that that's how it happened 40,000 years ago it started. You know what I'm saying? We have these pets. We have all these pets. Everybody wants to live around them. And here we have somebody who's claiming to have ethics like PETA, and they don't want anybody to have any pets. But it's so, like, we're so hardwired to live around dogs, cats, horses. You know? So PETA's claiming to be ethical, and they're not. They're not ethical at all. But there must be some type of ethics when we're talking about our domestic animals. You know, my best friend, honestly, is a pigeon. She's my best friend. She sleeps on my bed every night. She woke me up this morning rubbing her face on mine, you know, grooming my hair and stuff. This is my best friend is a pigeon. I know to some people it might sound pathetic, but I spend more time around her than any other animal, including humans. I'm going someplace. Come on, Remy, let's go. And I start walking. She goes out the door with me, follows me down the steps, gets in the car with me, and hangs out. She might not be able to speak English, but we can communicate. We can communicate, and we do. But the weirdest thing is, like Remy, I could walk down the street and I can buy a pigeon at a pigeon store. I can walk 2 more blocks and buy a pigeon to eat. Do you see what I'm saying? There is no difference. There is no difference between her and, you know, the pigeon that I buy, which I didn't buy her. She was found, which is totally legal. Pigeons are considered just feral. I could have, she was, you know, she was injured. So she's about 2 weeks old now. It's like, if she lives, she's going to stay with me because she's going to be sort of screwed up. That's why you can't release these deer into the wild once you bottle feed them. Just leave them alone. And remember, flies need to eat too. They do. But there's no difference between her and a pigeon that I would pay $8 for as a pet or $5 to eat. It's the same thing. Neither one. They're considered domestic. Well, this is feral domestic, but they have no rights. She has no rights. It's weird. It's bizarre. Just remember, if you eat meat, don't give anybody any shit because you're a killer. And that's how it is. There's so much hypocrisy when it comes to animals. It's disgusting. It is. It's fucking disgusting. People, you know, I've hunted for years. I didn't hunt this season, actually. My hip is really bothering me, and it's just not feasible. So instead, I'm doing stuff with my dog pseudo hunting, which is more feasible because I can ride my tractor out, play stuff out in a field. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm still working my dogs as if they were hunting. I just can't be out in the woods and have something happen with my hip, and you know, and it's wear and tear on my hip. But people gave me shit for years for hunting, and I'll probably still go duck hunting. I'm buying a boat so that, you know, I can get it done. But people are giving me shit for years for hunting. Like I'll be, you know, like on Facebook or something, post some picture of Ike with a goose in his mouth, and somebody said, "Oh, you're horrible. I can't believe that you kill animals." "Oh, do you eat meat?" "Yeah, I do." You know, they say, "Yeah, I do." Yet I'm bad for acknowledging the animal's death, where you're the real piece of shit. You, the person that goes in the grocery store, gets the meat and doesn't even think that this animal was alive and cute. It's all abstract at this point. If it was 40 years ago, let's make it even more. Let's say it was 70, 80 years ago. Our food sources would be more in line with how it happens. You would see that it was a live animal. If you're in Brooklyn, you can go in a poultry store and people say, "I want this chicken," and the guy goes over, gets the chicken, kills it, plucks it, and brings it back to you in 10 minutes. So at least these people are acknowledging that the animal was alive. But that's how it is. That it's abstract at this point. Nobody even acknowledges that the animal's, you know, life and death. It's just a wrapped up piece of chicken that you take home and cook. But you have the audacity to give people shit that hunt. But you're just, you know, you're calling people that hunt killers, but you kill just as much unless you're a vegan. And unless you were raised as a vegan, you know, if you've ever eaten meat or fish, a fish is a living creature, just like a cow. It doesn't matter. If you kill a bug, you're a killer. It's all the same. You're taking a life. Does this sound like I'm going vegan? No, I'm not. But, you know, for the last 30 years, I've been like, man, I love watching animals more than I do shooting them. Does that make sense? Like it's can't come down to the point. Like I haven't even hunted this year because I'm having hip problems, but it's not that important. It isn't. For me, hunting is going out in the woods and hanging out with the dogs. It's about working with the dogs. It is not about shooting the bird. It has nothing to do with that. So, God, for the last years, like if you know, if I was going to take a shot, it sure as hell was going to be a clean shot. You know, I just don't really care that much at this point. You know, I could just sit out there with Ike. By the way, another reason why we couldn't go hunting, we could have gone duck hunting on opening day, but Ike has a skin problem right now. So that's another reason that we couldn't go. Me and Ike's health, we're both getting old. So is it really that big of a deal that we didn't go hunting? No, it's not. Ike's skin is more important, and so is my hip. And we can do other things to sort of sublimate that need to be. Well, it's, you know, we just go out and walk around. Like we went grouse hunting, you know. I could just as easily just go walk around Cinnamon Lake without a gun and have just as good a time. It just doesn't matter to me. It's about seeing the animals in their environment. It's about spending time with my dogs. If we don't shoot anything, I can still go to Walmart and buy chicken, but I'm still involved in the killing process. Don't be kidding yourself. Seriously, don't be kidding yourself. If you're thinking that you're better than a person that eats cow, eats beef, because you only eat fish, you're kidding yourself. If you're a vegan and you have a mouse in your house and you kill it, you know, if you're a vegan and you kill the mosquito that's on your arm, you're still a killer. That was still alive. It was a creature that you killed. So I doubt that there's anybody on this planet that has never killed. It's just we put this precedence for intelligent. Like the intelligent creature is worth saving and the stupid creature isn't worth saving. You know? And we put these ridiculous things on certain animals, like mythological shit on animals, like the elephant. Oh, they have emotions like a human. No, they don't. Humans have human-like emotions, and if the elephant has any type of emotions, they're regarding being an elephant. And you don't have any concept of what it's like to be an elephant. And the elephant that sees the dead baby elephant and they're circling around it, they're confused. That's their instinct not to leave their own. And they're not going to leave that baby elephant until it starts getting ripe. It's confused. It's not even close to being as intelligent as us. It has no concept of the universe. It doesn't. It has no idea that there are billions of planets and billions of stars out there. It has no concept of that. We are the only ones that have concepts like this. We have an imagination. We have things other animals don't. But to give our wild animals more rights than our domestic animals, it just seems bizarre. It does. It just seems weird. And it just convinces me that human beings were just like completely arrogant. We think we're so great with our thumbs and our fucking brain And we can do whatever we want pretty much to the lesser animals. And when I mean lesser, I mean less intelligent. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about animals that are not as smart as us. They get the short end of the stick. Nothing happens to animal abusers pretty much. Nothing happens. They get away with it all the time. It's a rarity. They have to have a locked up case for them to be able to, you know, if you, like I'm saying, like if you kill your dog purposefully, like you put the dog down yourself, you're really not going to go to jail for anything. All you'd have to do is say the dog was suffering and put it out of its misery. In the 40s, if your dog was sick, you would walk it out into the back field and you would put it down. You would shoot it. I'm sure it probably still happens in Texas and in rural areas. And here's a story for you. 25 minutes in, and I'm going to tell you all a story about when I was a child. I experienced something like this. And it was my Uncle Morty, which wasn't really my uncle. It was like a friend of the family. And he had this old dog, Jake. And I was listening into the conversation where Morty Lucas was talking to my dad. And he was like, Mike, you got to help me. I don't know what to do. I got to put Jake down. You know, Jake was old. He's probably 12 or 13. A lab with real severe arthritis, been used heavily to hunt in cold water. So the arthritis had really kicked in. And Morty knew that the dog was suffering, and Morty wanted to put the dog down. And he said, can you come with me to put the dog down? So I was listening in, and I was like, no, don't put the dog down. And so I watched as they walked into the back. I was in this house that was on the property, and I could hear them talking. And there was like a thicket, and Morty walked into the thicket with like a 9mm, I think. And so you couldn't see him past that. It was really tall stuff. And he walked him in there, and I think that the reason why they walked him in there, because they knew that at some point, I think that they knew that I was listening and that I was watching. And this was probably like 1969 or 70. And so Morty was back in the thicket, and about 2 or 3 minutes later, there was no gunshot or anything. Morty comes walking out crying, and you know, says Mike, can you help me? I can't do it. I just can't do it. And my dad, there's no way he could have shot this dog. My dad had hunted with the dog too. Now Morty was about 20 or 30 years older than my dad, at least 25 years, I think. So my dad just recently died at 81, right? A few years back. So Morty would be, you know, he'd be over 100 now. So he grew up in a different time. So this was sort of normal to Morty Lucas, and it was sort of normal to my dad that would be a logical thing to do, to put the dog down. But because my dad was younger, my dad walks into the thicket with the gun and the dog. And I know what my dad did. I knew my dad. I'm sure he just stood around and just waited for a period of time, and then he came walking back out, and I heard him say, Mort, I can't do it. I just hunted with the dog too much too. Just take it to the vet, and the vet can give your dog a shot and put the dog down. He'll take the body, they'll cremate it, there won't be any problems. You know, it'll be easy, and the dog won't even like see it coming, no stress. And I remember Morty saying, oh, okay, Mike, I'll do that, or something like that. But the point is, 100 years ago, that would have been a normal behavior. But now it wouldn't. If your dog was dying, there's any place in this country you can go to an animal hospital and have the dog put down humanely. 45 minutes you can get to an animal hospital. There's no reason to really do that. Maybe if you had a horse with a broken leg and, the vet, it would take time for the vet to get here, you might be like, oh shit, the horse is suffering, it's trying to get up on its broken leg and hurting itself more. You might have to like put the animal down, but you wouldn't be doing anything illegal. Why? Because it's a domestic animal and they have no rights. And there's also compassion involved. And even if there isn't compassion involved, and you were going to eat the animal, you can put the animal down and consume it. You might not be able to sell the meat. That would be different legal implications. But you could consume that animal. If you have a cow on your property, and you put that cow down yourself, you can slaughter it. It's your cow. The same is true of your dog. I seriously doubt if somebody wanted to consume dog meat and they were treating the animal properly and the animal was put down humanely, nothing would happen to this person. Nothing. I don't think that there's a court in this land that could really do anything. Your domestic animals all come under one kind of group, domestic. And then there's wild animals. And the only difference between domestic and wild, and this is something that people just don't get, is that domestication means that selective breeding has taken place. That's it. The orcas at SeaWorld that were bred at SeaWorld, those are domestic animals. Those are not wild animals. Selective breeding has taken place. That's the difference. You see? Your animal has no rights. And I think it's sort of screwed up. I think personally that dogs, whatever the pet is, pigeons, should be able to go wherever as long as they're trained and well behaved. And they should have some rights. And what those rights would be, I don't know. I'm just throwing this shit out there that your dog has no rights. Your cat has no rights. They're only protected from animal cruelty and abuse. That's it. Other than that, they don't have any rights. That spider that you buy at the pet store, if you kill it and you're some cruel fuck and you want to videotape, I think I've seen that. I think I've seen a killing jar being used on YouTube. If you're into that shit, you're into, pulling legs off of spiders, I really don't think anybody can go after you because it's an insect, and insects, it's strange, there's absolutely no protection. If it's an insect, there's no hunting season, you can kill them whenever you want. It's weird, right? It's just fucking weird.